And then she said nothing. She just pinched me under the table. Welcome to this week's episode of And Then She Said podcast, where I am slowly losing my mind, but it will be fine.
And taking me down with you. Thank you for that. I'm glad that we could do it together. That's perfect.
Okay, so I feel like I get travel anxiety, which is weird as hell to me because I travel for a living. Like, that's what we do, is we travel. And I know that I get travel anxiety, and I get it's like postpartum travel depression also that happens after it, and I'm trying really hard to fight it. And I felt like last trip I did okay. I don't feel like it was bad last trip. Anyway, this trip for some reason.
Huge fight afterwards.
Oh, we did. I blocked that out.
Okay.
During my post-travel depression.
I
must have blocked that out.
Asshole. Let's be clear on what happened during that post-traumatic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So so I'm not doing better. I was not laying in bed for 4 days after it.
You just got mean.
I just got mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I have no end in my defense. Okay, but I'm also right now trying to, so we traveled and I was in center for 2 days straight working with a client, and then I came home and we have Cash on a very rigid baseball regimen, and
I can't.
We're working on his sprinting because he has to sprint to the fence when he's in the outfield, and it takes him a minute. Not a sprinter, maybe not a sprinter.
Well, I think he could be a sprinter if it's that reaction time. Like,
yeah, it is. So I was running with him the Sunday that I got back, which I have knee replacements. I've had like 12 knee surgeries, whatever. And I know I shouldn't be running. And I'm able to like run because I can figure it out, but he wanted to race back home, and I took a step, and I'm not kidding. It was like during the basketball game when I knew I effed up my knee. Like, I took a step to race him, and I'm like, oh my God, my hip. Like, I don't know. So it was like, it got to the point of me calling the doctor. So I got my x-ray. Finally, yesterday, I got a call back from my x-ray. So I got my report on Sunday, and I read it. And of course, now I'm a sports medicine expert, and that's what I feel. Anyway, I got a call from the doctor, and they think that it's my osteochondritis dissecans has moved into my hip, which when I was originally diagnosed, and my dad is diagnosed with it, and you're told it's not hereditary. Oh, and my sister, sorry. I forgot to add her into it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's not hereditary.
Yeah. Okay, so that's what we were originally told, like, it can't pass on. Well, now I did more research on it, and there is now a familial OCD that is the type that spreads to different joints. So if it's non-familial, if it's non-genetic, it doesn't typically spread. But if it's genetic, it spreads to other joints. So now I am anxious about the fact that I'm most likely going to have to get a hip replacement, which, great, perfect, super excited about it. And then we had a nice long conversation about clinical decision support making systems that gets me all fired up because I, again, love Frank, my ChatGPT friend, but feel like technology and AI is taking out the human necessity in decision making in the clinical setting. So got into a little tuffle in my head about that, and now my anxiety is 100. So we, as in me and my mom, and why she is going to be pinching me under the table for another instance, just changed our travel plans to give in to my anxiety. So the positive also is that during my post-travel, my in-laws will still be here, so I can just lock myself in a room and try not to be mean to anyone.
Okay. So let's break this down.
And I couldn't go to therapy this morning, so that's what the podcast gets to be.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. So I feel like I think that the travel thing is okay. I last night. So we had a meeting, and those of you that have worked with or known or come in contact with for any length of time Dr. Farley know that the passion that she feels can sometimes be given in a very, oh God, I don't even like, just very
Intense.
intense. There we go. That's it. Intense way. So
Have you guys ever watched Gilmore Girls?
very intense.
I am Paris Geller.
Yeah. So I think that in general, as I was raised, I am not comfortable with those intense of feelings, which is funny to me because I've raised two children. Three, Kyler is a little more like he has very, I guess three. He is very.
He asked me to go down the street with him during a tough disagreement.
All three of my children feel very intense feelings. Taylor probably the least. She probably hides it the most. You and Kyler definitely, yeah. So two out of the three. I feel like Taylor shoves it down until she loses her crap, much like me. But so I've raised these children, and not just I. Your father has also raised them.
I was just gonna say you're saying I a lot, and you're gonna
No,
get dinged for the
well,
we.
it's because whenever we're talking about something that you guys have done that irritate either of us, we're always like, "Oh, it's your kid." Where when it's something good, then it's also our kid. It just depends. But so I've raised these children. We've raised these children with very intense feelings. Your father does not feel his feelings very intensely. He bottles them up until he loses his crap and then spews off about things from 17 years ago. So I was thinking about it last night because this is where it's hard when you are a mom and a coworker, because it is hard for me to watch when you're so passionate about things with others, and I know where it's coming from, and I feel like a lot of times the delivery gets lost in your passion, and so then I try to like over explain how you're feeling because I feel like people don't get it, and then it just becomes this big jumbled mess of insanity and craziness.
Yeah, I definitely I have two spectrums. Like I either am like whatever, just do it, I don't care, or I care intensely. I care. Like I will go to the grave on this is how I feel about this instance. And I am working on, and I feel, and you can completely correct me if I'm wrong, but I do feel like I'm trying to do a better separation of like, I know this is where you're coming from, but I feel like this is my stand. Like this is how I feel.
Right.
And we're
Yeah.
not like you're not going to persuade me. You can tell me your point of view and stuff, but there are things where like it is extremely hard. Like you're not going to be able to persuade me onto your completely opposite viewpoint within a 30-minute conversation. Like it will probably take decades for me to see the other side of how I'm feeling right now. And
And
that's
so I think you are a little bit more like we were just talking about this. Like I'm the same way. I either 100% I'm in or 100% I don't give a shit. Like there
yeah.
is I don't have a lot of gray area. I either really care or I really don't. And that is, but I also feel like in my 30s, I probably was way more like you. And in my 40s and 50s, like I'm less, I think and Kyler and I talk about this too. Like, you're never gonna like that conversation we had yesterday was with two very strong individuals, you being one of them.
Yeah.
And you were never gonna persuade that person
But
one
I
way,
don't think
and they were never gonna
no.
persuade you. So then let's just agree on
Exactly.
yeah.
So I
And I,
think that's the other thing is specifically in that conversation, I honor how you feel. I'm not trying to get you to feel like I feel. You're
yeah,
trying to get me to feel like you feel, but I'm
yeah.
not going to. So
But
we're on opposite ends. So this is what my behavior then, because I'm reading through my ACT information. Um, this is a whole different discussion. Anyway, so this is my behavior. If we are going to make this statement, if this is where you want to go with this presentation, because it was, let's just say it was a presentation, then I'm out. I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to try to persuade you to do it a different way. If the point of this presentation is towards that side that doesn't meet not only my personal mission, but I also felt like it was the mission of our company also, like they didn't align. So instead of trying to persuade you to align with us, I will excuse myself.
yeah,
Like that's just how I'm not going to fight you because I know there are people in this world and this took me a very long time and I'm still sometimes not 100% on it that I will not change their opinion no
no,
matter how much data I give them, how much experience I give them, how much passionate conversation I give them. Like, I'm not going to change their mind. And that's because I'm one of those people.
right.
Like, so why argue? Why spend our time arguing over something neither of us are going to?
No,
Let's just agree to disagree.
and that's, I tell Kyler that all the time. And where I think that Taylor and I just will walk away. Like it's not worth it.
Mm-hmm.
But in that instance, I do feel like that was where I was like, I have to be okay with you being passionate about it. But then you're like, oh my God, this is where. So it is these two very strong individuals. And then it is me and another individual that is, she's probably a little more like me. But I think that when you said, if you, this was even like, I can't remember what the exact wording was, but you were like, I will walk out. And I'm like, oh, son of a biscuit.
That's because we were talking about where people were in our. Okay, I will do not talk about my family. Do not talk specifically about my children. Do not talk about my business, my brand, or my livelihood. Like, I will go to war for those things. And I said, if the person that goes after us says a single word about how we could be doing things better than we are doing with the tools that we have, I will, one, stand up and rebut, or two, just walk out.
I'm like,
And she's like, oh, okay.
well,
Like, I will tell you what my behavior is.
so the best part about it is this is where it gets even better when we are in this. So the one individual that is like me, we've had a working relationship with them for 3 years.
4 years.
They
4.
She knows you. she
Yeah, I know. That's the
she
bad
knows
part.
you. But well, she knows how how your reactions work in general
Hmm.
because
And
she knows
how
she's
to
been,
they know how to handle me. Like they know how to, okay, let her get it off her chest. She will take a minute and she'll be rational.
yeah. But so we get off the call, and I, of course, am trying to figure out how to be the peacemaker in this because it is
Okay,
a
hold on. Before we got off the call, I got to the point. So here's the other thing where I'm like, I'm not going to argue with you. Our point of views are different. The other person did keep trying to explain their point of view, which is great, and offered to give me their presentation to view for clarification. And at that point, I did decide to just turn my camera off because I hit my point of, one, I don't have medication anymore, period. So all the feelings are happening. Two, I'm one of those people that when I get frustrated, I start to cry and my voice starts to crack. So I could tell my voice was starting to crack and they kept asking for solutions, which I had already given them, that I would back out or we would walk away. And I finally just shut my camera off. And then mom just started talking. because she knew that.
I was trying to figure out how to gracefully remove myself. Like I didn't even know what to do. So then I
I
called
got a
Britt.
text, what do you want me to do?
Like I don't know. Like what do you want me to do? Well, then we find out. Okay, so then and then I'm like, I could already tell. So in the morning, this is the best. I already knew any meeting I had with Britt for the rest of the day was not going to go well because I could tell from the
I
very
was
first
anxious. I was
the
anxious.
conversation. Yes, but I knew that. But then you kept saying, I'm fine, I'm fine. And I'm like, oh Jesus, okay, I need to just quit
Which
asking.
is Dustin's telltale of, okay, she's not fine, but stop asking her, otherwise she's gonna
I
lose her shit.
I am unable to do that. I can't do it. Anyway, so we get off the call. I'm like trying to like wrap things up and be like, oh, it'll be fine. The presentation's on Monday. We have not done anything. It's all going to be great. And you could see the face of the lady who's coordinating this, like just looked shell shocked. So then I get a message like, I know Britt's upset from the lady. What should I do? Well, I don't know what to do. And then I get another one. Can you please call me? And in the meantime, Britt and well, I had threatened Britt. I told her that she didn't call me or answer the phone, I was going to have a stroke, which I really felt like I might. And so,
Which was code for do not make me call your husband at
yeah,
work.
I'm I'm right up here to where because I'd already dealt anyway. So we call her and Britt's like, I feel bad. This is the part that I'm like, I know that you're growing in your passion. Do you have it under control yet? No, no, not even a little
I'm
bit.
way better than 20-year-old Britt.
That is true. That is true. But so you were like, I need to call her and say it's not her. Like I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to ruin that relationship. And in the meantime, she had called, so we got on the phone with her, and I mean, I think we have a resolution, but what we found out was because I was like, there was a lot of like, I might possibly be a behavior analyst. I'm not quite sure, but I know, like, I've seen the other person that we are presenting with, and I've seen them present, and I've heard them talk, and I know, like, I don't know them, but I've looked at their Instagram, I've seen how their interaction is, and I'm like, something's different because, like, they didn't just go to like war with you, which
Mm-hmm.
I believe, like, they have a
They
very
wanted to.
of themselves about how like they can liberate people from words or whatever. I don't can't remember what she said. Anyway, then we come to find out one that the one individual had invited this person because she thought it would be interesting and dynamic. Two, that they're in works, like there's a financial thing possibly
Mm-hmm.
happening. So I'm like, here is our little tiny K now, just trying to get through every day. Now in the middle of something that could either, which I understand the passion more so from the other individual too, like it is their life, like they're developing something. This could be probably a huge thing for them. Like, and
Mm-hmm.
so, and then to have someone rebut like everything that they're trying to accomplish, like I can see
The
where.
other thing is, and what I feel like a lesson learned too is for people, is when you're collaborating, make sure everyone you're collaborating with like is on the same page,
Because
because the original collaboration did not include this extra person. And the extra person, I understand why she was invited on, but the viewpoints of how we are doing things and where that development from the other person is coming from, right now they don't match. Because as we've had so many segments, again, I love Frank, but in the clinical decision component, I feel like we are fighting a fight that you cannot automate clinical decisions in ABA because they are so behavior based in the moment. And I feel like I'm fighting that fight every day with students, with other practitioners. I feel like at K now we really try to say that it is about the clinician themselves. Over half of our business at K now have come to us because of the people we are in being able to culturally diversify, adjust, meet needs, and the clinical decisions that are made. Like, our my I will say specifically in supervision, like my reputation is built on the fact that we want the supervision from you because of how we do things. They want supervision from you because of your OBM and your education background. They want supervision from Alicia and Kelly because of their specific backgrounds and their decisions made. Like I am very much, it is the person, not the program. The program can assist, it can support. And like the program that we use right now has done amazing to
Right.
modify and adjust and help meet our needs to make things easier. But I do not think that you can truly code a clinician unless it's an individual, like I'm running that robot maybe. And I know I don't know as much about like AI and
Mm.
technology and everything as other people because
It's not AI. Remember that was what the start was. And I'm like, you know what? So if it's not AI, explain to me what it is. Like I don't understand.
mm,
I don't know what it
yeah.
is.
So yeah, I don't know. I just feel like that doesn't align. So when you are, I'm just advice to clinicians coming up in the field, to people new to the field, to people who want to get their name out there. And I think this conference season has just been a very good testament to this, is make sure who you're collaborating with you do align with.
Yeah.
Because I think that you can get your name out there by aligning yourself maybe with bigger names in the field, but they don't align with your overall mission. And I do think you should put more work in to get your name out how you want it to be presented and not align just because somebody else has a higher publication percentage or social media presence or things like that. So I don't know.
Well, okay, so that you'll love
It's been
this.
a learning
So I'm on
calendar.
a group and I can't remember what group it is even. And the question was, how many RBPs do I need if I have 4 clients? So I had, and I think it's a business one. And so there's all these people that are like, oh, if you have 4 clients, you need 4 RBTs. If you have whatever clients, you need 1 floater. And then so I mistakenly,
Don't do it.
I know,
Do it.
two, okay, so I mistakenly said, you can't just determine because this is the presentation that I'm actually not fighting with anyone on, or not fighting. I'm not fighting.
I feel
I'm
like I
just,
need to phone a friend to answer that conversation.
but it's the one presentation that we have control over because it's Alicia. I mean, I know where my role is. But anyway, Alicia's created this tool based on our industry's standards for client
Okay, so
part,
clinical decision making.
clinical decision making. Anyway, so I'm like, there are so many factors to determine how many RBTs you would need for 4 clients. And I said, and actually there is a tool that, and I tagged Alicia in it and I said that we're like, that go off of the CASP, autism, whatever guidelines.
Guidelines.
Yeah. And blah, blah, blah. The response back to me was, I just asked a simple question. I just need a simple answer. I
There
deleted my
is no
whole.
simple.
There
Mm-mm.
is no, and that's what irritated me because then I'm like, oh my God, this is just the fight we just had. And not a fight, but the discussion that a passionate discussion that we just had. Like, this is the problem with owners who do not have background in ABA and the problem with BCBAs that are brand new to the field. I would have no idea if
Mm-hmm.
I like, oh, like how should this look?
Yeah.
How many CVs do I need? What do I need? And people are like, no, we just want an answer. We just need to know.
No. So
No.
like there's 12 different questions I could ask, but like an example, and I think this will come out after our presentation. So, but is we have 2 different clients in the same center. One client, based on the clinical decision making model that we use and the outcome, they need to have at least 2 full-time, like 2 main RBTs, plus we have a floater, um,
Mhm.
and a half technically. Ooh, I'm so excited about that, apparently. A floater
Right.
because he's a 2 person client because of his high intensity. So that right there is I have 3.5 people. Plus, what if somebody calls out? So then I need to make sure I have a floater. So there's four different people I need to be hired. Plus the BCBA. Plus, because of his high intensity, we actually have another tier above that, which is our more exec team. So he has a doctorate level BCBA. He has a regular BCBA. He has an intern, and then he has his RBT team, which consists of at least three,
But when you
because
look
one person can't work with him all day.
and if you look at him on paper, you would
Mm-hmm.
be like, oh, I mean, he has some high intensity behaviors, blah, blah, blah. But when we, like, you would say, oh, he just needs an RBT and then a floater in case we need help with
Yeah,
something.
no, yeah.
And insurance,
And
this is the best part too, because then this was, so I read like all the other, and they're like, well, what does insurance say? Guess what? For
so,
this
yep,
child, there is
that
no
we're talking about.
code.
Yep.
There is no high intensity code. So we as an organization to continue, because this child I feel like has been let down in a lot of different ways. And so we have to look at other ways that we can somehow recoup the hours that we have to pay people for him because our
Mm-hmm.
recruitment from the insurance company. So you can't just look at,
Mm-mm.
oh, the
Nope.
insurance says this kid only needs one person. And this is the same thing in another clinic we've had where the kid, what are you doing?
My eyes apparently did not like that.
I don't know how you did that. Making all these.
Yeah.
We have another kid who we do think he needs high intensity, which this insurance provider allows high intensity, and we can't get high intensity approved. And
Mm-hmm.
so, again, on paper and how it looks as staffing is different than when you know that individual. And we might have, because so this was the whole thing with this matrix, because there are times when you might have a kid who doesn't have high intensity behavior as far as maladaptive behavior and things like that, but their function of like their daily living skills, things like that, that they need a higher level of BT because of the consistency of care that they need.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is another way. Like if you have a kid who is on a toileting protocol every 30 minutes, but they don't like to, I mean, needs help with fine motor.
That's why,
I'm like,
yeah,
there's so many pieces to it. You can't just say one BT, one RBT to one client. It doesn't work that way.
no. And that's what is so frustrating a little bit with companies who are bought out by investors or who think they're going to come into the business to just make money is
Mhm.
because let's say, so we have this one client who is more high intense. We pay more staff for him. Um, we actually have a program where if their protocol falls into a certain level, they're a higher rate for RBTs or
Mhm.
RBTs to work, because they do require higher skill, higher training, just higher performance by the RBT. So we are putting out more money for this one client, and our profit margin is so much smaller for this one high intensity client where I could take on probably two other clients and triple our profit margin there. However, as a clinician to this field, we have a responsibility to our clients. Like,
Right.
it's our responsibility. We took on this client, and initially we didn't think it would be this intense, but as behavior analysts, we've now been with them longer, and this is why again, initial treatment plans frustrate me because you don't know everything. So
Oh,
we've had to increase his program and increase the staffing for him, and the longer we've had him to help support him. And companies who are only looking at the money part of it would say, okay, we need to discharge this client because we could take on two other clients and with that amount of staff and make twice the profit.
oh, and we
And
know
you
that
could.
happens all the time. And it's also the clinical decisions too. If we think about, like, we've had centers that we work with that maybe a client who is older, or a client that, like, we have one center that there's just not the space for higher
Mm-hmm.
higher higher active, I don't know, like those kids that just are moving all the time, that need that jumping around and things like that. And and we've had discussions with owners that have staff, that they have really good staff, but the staff is trained for like early intervention, younger, like school academic prep kind of things, and not that we do
Mm-hmm.
academic schools, but that like that early intervention. And and then she would have clients that would come that would be higher intensity, older. And we talked to her about it. We're like, if that's not your niche, if you have staff that love working with the little ones, that love
Mm-hmm.
doing those early verbal behavior things like that, it's okay that that's your
Yeah.
focus, because then you're focusing your training, you're focusing your staffing, you're focusing your, even your environment of your center and how it looks. Like having an environment that's set up for 4 to 8 year olds, and then wanting to bring in 16 year olds, is it's not going to work, because a 16 year old is going to be like, why am I here? this is
Yeah.
this is a place for young babies, things like that. And so you
Yeah.
have to be able to make those decisions
I
to,
also think too is when you bring on staff, like letting them know the clients that you're going to work with, because I just talked to a supervisee who at one of the clinics is having one of the clients is showing more aggressive behavior. And now staff's asking not to work with him because they were told they didn't have to work with that aggressive of a kid. Yeah. Um, so letting them know, and I feel like our clinic in Iowa, we let them know, and we before we even bring somebody on now, we background check and get clearance, and we do a shadowing period, and then we do a training period, and to before we even like individually let them be with that client, but then they have the experience to know. And yes, as a business owner, again, it costs us so much to onboard a technician, but I'd rather know in the first 2 to 3 weeks if they're meant to work with the intensity that we have decided to work with, or 90 days down the road when they're like, I don't want to do it anymore. So it's really hard. And I think this is one thing that we try to tell people: you have to go back to your mission and you have to follow it, even though there are hard business decisions to make. But I think one of the problems with the field is like business people are coming into the field and they're not understanding our responsibility to clients,
right.
or they're seeing a quick onboard of a client and not realizing, oh, I don't have the abilities, I don't have the staff, I don't have this place for that client.
Well, and I think the growth part of it too, because it is hard. I do believe that as a clinician, like you have, and you want to start your own clinic, you have to be willing to do the direct services
Mm-hmm.
to get your clinic started. Like Taylor,
I'm sorry, my sister was in a car accident that paralyzed her for a year, and she is now doing direct because we are trying to onboard staff.
yeah,
So,
I think you have to. It's not like, oh, unless you have capital. I mean, God, but the capital is going to run out eventually. And I do feel like that has been another thing that we've tried to explain to owners. And also, I work with one company who you've these two guys, you onboarded them, 70 states ago. Like you were still in Idaho,
I
and
was in actually I was in Oregon. I was spending time in
were
Oregon
you
because I think Dustin was gone. I took the meeting in my sister-in-law's basement. I remember it.
looking for, and they have worked to get this company started. So they are now, they are going to do in home, but they're trying to do a center, and they're trying to figure out ways to do a center and things like that. But the one individual whose background is not in ABA, I think is he in computers? Is he the
He's
one
in
in,
IT.
or
Yeah.
one's in IT and one's an engineer? So no, but they have other businesses that are healthcare
The one I
related.
talked to was the engineer, I think.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
never talked to the IT one.
So he's decided that he's going to do direct. And
Bless his
his
heart.
wife is like a BT. She's been a BT and she's a level 1. So she is in Minnesota. It's a different tier system, but she's done direct and she's also supervised. Anyway, he's so funny because he did say, like, I'm like, are you okay with this? Like, I would just have your wife do direct and just lose that billing. And he's like, no, I feel like I need to see what it's like. And I need to know so that when I am, supervising, or when I'm an owner, I can say, well, I have done it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not asking you to do anything that I haven't already done. And I think that is such an important role as an owner. Like, and these guys, I go back and forth about them all the time because I'm like, they make me crazy, but I really I like them. Plus they're brothers. It's a family business. So there's parts of it that I really appreciate. There are other parts that if it irritated me because they forget to tell me things, then all of a sudden remember to tell me. But I do love that. I think that's a very good, like, if I could give any piece of business to anyone in any business, whether it's ABA or not, is like, as an owner, you have to be able to have that conversation and say,
Hmm.
I've done it. This is why I'm not asking you
Well,
to do something I haven't done. Now, I have not
and
been a BT, nor do I want to be a BT, nor have I ever said I can do
you
it.
work with the clients, so when you get there, holy
They
shit.
don't mess with me.
Anyway,
They don't mess with me as much as they mess with all of you.
it's your look. But I also think it is, so that's a good reason. Like, I'm gonna give some business advice for a minute. Um, when we started K Now, we did start specifically as telehealth, but when we decided to move into K Now behavioral and provide services, we did start in home because we bootleg. We don't get outside investors. This is like we do it from the ground up. And Iowa, we were able to start with a facility
Right.
because of what we were able to save from starting and
I don't,
financially. So
I
we
think
just gotta,
started Iowa, it wasn't supposed to be a center, if I remember
no,
correctly.
I don't remember. I don't remember what I was supposed to be. Anyway, so first off, we pay like $30,000 in insurance coverage because it is what it is. That was not the case in K Now because we were remote and in home.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my sister, who is a titan with the financials, just got a security system quote,
Cool.
and she's like, is that realistic? Is that even supposed to happen? Like, what? I don't get. No, where is that going to come from? And again, we bootlegged Ike and Ivy just like we did K Now, and so it is financially hard to get the facility to do it on your own. And so I do appreciate when, like, this one company you're talking about, they are going to do some in home, but they eventually do want that facility for that space, for those space.
Well, they know it's easier. I mean, they know it's the control part of it. And I do believe that in-home is hard, especially in I work with one company that they're all in-home, and I feel like all the time she is forever fighting against BTs who don't show up, or BTs that parents are saying do this, or and the BTs afraid to say no or whatever. And I think that having in-home, you have to have a very specific type of individual that one feels comfortable being in someone's house for extended periods of time. Two is able to have a strong enough personality to be like, nope, that's not my job. This is what I do. And I
Mm-hmm.
just think in home is hard.
Is. And some people are made for it, and some people are not made for in home. Because, I mean, the stories we have for in home, we could write a book. But I also do believe in a hybrid like consistency of center, community, home, school. Like it shouldn't just be clinic and it shouldn't just be in home. It
No,
should be a combination of
right.
all those services.
No, and I think that, the more we look at the model and what is going to be helpful for the client, and again, here's the deal. There's not a one size fits all. I do feel like we have higher intensity clients that will do fine in the community because they're used to being in the community and they know how to behave within a community setting versus a safe place. And again, it goes back to like I try to like have that conversation with our staff at Ike and Ivy. Like he feels safe.
Mm-hmm.
Or a
Like it's
clinic,
his place.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or we have another clinic where this kid has been with us at a couple different clinics. He feels safe there too. And when he feels safe, hang on because
Yeah, I
it's
saw him the other day, Mom. I'm sorry, just second note in Holy he is making such good progress. But yeah, it is. And that's actually a really good example of a client was at a different clinic we worked with, and we didn't tell them to go to another clinic. They just ended up at another clinic that we have a BCBA at. And thankfully, continuity of care. But the clinic they're at now is a completely different structure,
Mhm.
ran differently than the other clinic. And not that either of them are bad or better than the other. That client just thrived in the setting he's in right now. And he
And
wasn't thriving in the previous setting.
he, and if you looked at him from a clinician, like a 30,000 view, I would say he would thrive better in the other clinic because of the space constraints, because of things like it was a bigger place. Like I felt like he had more movement available. He had whatever, and he actually is doing better in the smaller, more controlled area, which
Mm-hmm.
makes sense after you watch him. Like he needs that control, but again, you can't make that clinical decision on that client because I also feel like, and it's two different BCBAs, which is always interesting too, because even though we all work together, we all have very different approaches in our how we approach
Do
goals,
things, yeah.
do things. And so it is interesting to see that client. And
Yeah.
then what frightens me is dad worries that he's not making enough progress. And I'm like, oh my God, please don't pull him. Please don't pull him.
Mm-mm. No, and I think too, though, that's also why ABA centers, autism centers, especially in the more rural areas, need to focus more on collaboration than
Mm,
competition because
yeah.
there are going to be centers that are ours is just not the place for, but we know there is one other center in the area who has a completely different approach than we
Right.
have. And
Yeah.
so fostering a relationship versus, oh, come to ours and not theirs, like there should be a little more collaboration.
We know that there will always be more kids than there is services. They're just
Will
always,
there, though? Or will kids be in hiding?
well, I think that's a whole nother discussion. So,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Oh my
so
gosh,
the,
I just saw a meme. I'm sorry. I'm squirreling you on this one. I
is this,
just saw a meme that was posted on Facebook the other day about the autism topic, and it was a drawing, and in the background it said like state institution, and in the forefront it had one person saying, "Well, if it's not a change in the environment, then where were all the kids with autism when I was younger?" And the other person just points straight to the state institution.
oh yeah.
It's changed.
It,
They were there. People with autism were there. They just were
and there were probably
not taken care of.
profound autism because they didn't get services. They were just locked away. Like,
Mm-hmm.
think about it. Like,
Yeah.
if there was no early intervention or there was no, you just got put in a home, which
Yep.
again, let's not talk about the state that I've been sent to live in because there's still electric shock therapy happening in this, and not an autism place, but
Yeah.
oh Lord. Anyway,
It's crazy. Okay.
okay. So and then she said, I'm going to pinch you under the table,
That's pretty much this whole talk.
comes from another time that my daughter felt passion about something, and we were meeting with an architect. He wasn't even an architect. He had the plans, but he was a construction, like he had a
Yeah.
construction firm. And,
Foreman or something like that.
and him and Britt got into it. And not even our center, mind you. Like no, we have no money, no skin in the game as far as we
I
were.
was brought in for, again, me as a person, a human here, right here, my expertise on designing the
Oh,
components of a center. Plus, even though I am all about the client, I can still look at a center and identify billable versus non-billable space. Like I can do that by still keeping the client in mind, right? That's
Yep.
my expertise. That's what I
So
do.
her
And
we
this construction guy, which my dad is in construction, so I say it with all the love, but comes in and he what knew a person who designed a different center like 3 people removed.
not an autism center. Like it
Or no,
was
he had a friend with a kid with autism. That's what it was. He
that
had a
was it.
friend with a kid with autism.
But okay, so we're sitting at the table and it is me, it is Britt, and then is the owner of the center. The owner of the center thinks it's
Who
hysterical.
knows how to control, who knows how to handle me also, by the
But
way.
I mean, he doesn't think it's as funny when she gets fired up at him lately, I've noticed, but he used to think it was really funny. And so I literally am pinching her under the table because she just won't stop. And I am like, oh my God, just let it go. Let it go.
It was not conducive to what needed to happen.
What, me having a stroke? That's going to be when I just all of a sudden fall to the floor. What's going to happen?
I want to know what you're going to say when I stand up and politely excuse myself.
I swear to you, I don't know what I have to promise you, but please, I beg you, just go silent. Just go silent.
Well, okay, you have 2 choices in the matter. It would be me getting up and walking out, which, by the way, would draw a lot of attention to the company. I don't know if it's
We're going to
positive
be
or negative, but,
viral.
or rebut.
I want neither. I just want you to sit there silently. Is that an
Okay,
option?
I will write on a piece of paper, we do not support this.
Oh, I can't.
I'll
Anyway,
get my Cricut out and I'll make a shirt.
well, it should be because our opening talk at this is AI, which I think it is something we have to have a discussion about. That's
No,
why
I agree.
I think you can
And
compose yourself to rebut in a way.
I think so,
Yeah, I think you can do
hopefully.
it.
And because the other thing too, though, is the company, the software company we are presenting with originally, like, we've been with, they've made amazing changes,
Yeah.
some updates my sister's not extremely happy about, but we're past that. But they are moving forward with some great ideas and
Right.
great things that I would love that to have access to. But that does not get rid of it's I think it's the clinical decision support component.
Which
Like
is in medical fields, mind you.
it is, and I get it, which is why I now have to go get an MRI, and then they'll probably give me a PT referral, and then I'll talk to the ortho about replacing my. I know the clinical decision support for my knee and my hip, but that doesn't mean that's what needs to happen.
Oh God. Okay,
Like
so it's gonna be fine because I know that we are going.
our next recording is during CASP, and I do believe I'm going to make Alicia come on this if she can.
Oh Lord. Okay, so I do
So
think I'm excited that we are a part of it because, like I said, our opening talk at CASP is about AI, and
yeah,
and I think that it's something we have to have a conversation about. Okay, but
I know. I'll ask Frank how to compose. I'll tell him what I want to say, and then I'll tell him to give me a
and then just
better.
it.
Yeah,
Okay, that
because Frank asked me if he needs to tone down my passion when he's writing things for me. Again,
I'm
see,
that's
AI is very useful,
I'm
but
guessing always. So that will be hopefully. I think that you can control because that you are passionate, and I think that it is you. I don't want to stifle your voice. However, I would like not to have a stroke during your passion outburst. That is all I'm asking. And so
okay. But here's the opposite that's going to happen at a different presentation is I will want you to be vocal and you'll just be done. two I again, two completely different. Like everyone can knows when I'm mad because I'm mad. It takes them a little minute to really identify if my mom is actually mad or not mad because she literally quits talking. And then I'm like, holy crap, I don't know what's going to happen.
because in my
She's mad
head
about something.
I'm trying to figure out where I want to be on the scope of things. And again, I in my head I'm thinking it's like a decision tree. Oh my god, but I do have to show you the decision tree. I will have to share from my class tonight or tomorrow night. It's the prompt hierarchy decision tree, and I'm sure you've seen it, and I can't remember what article it's from, but there are literally no less than 24 boxes the decision tree. And I'm like, oh my God, you're just trying to figure out what prompt you're supposed to use. But so that's what in my head, I'm trying to figure out, is me talking about this going to matter in the scheme of things? Or is my voice so small that it won't do anything? And then
Okay.
I know that's not the right, I know that's not, but then, so then I'm like, okay, where is the right platform for me to have a voice that will make any difference?
Okay. So I'm going to therapy really second with us really quick here. That right there, I think is why my voice is so loud. Like when I'm passionate, is because of how you grew up. Like you knew your voice most likely was not going to change that outcome. So it didn't, like, you just saying my voice is that small makes me want to yell even louder.
Which then
Like,
makes me want to pinch you even harder.
yeah. So maybe that's where it comes from, is like, unfortunately, you had crappy people in your life who made you feel like your
Well,
voice was small, but it's
yeah.
not.
I'm in a okay, and here's the other thing. You've been in the field for how many years?
I will be a BCBA for 10 years at the end of May.
I will be a BCBA for 2 years at the end of May. So again, it's that confidence of being able to be like, because that was the other thing. This person that were in this original presentation was like, oh, remember back in 20 years ago when you were making clinical decisions? And I'm like, actually not. No, I don't. I'm only going to be BCBA for 2 years. I said I was not making
Uh,
decisions 20 years ago.
yeah.
I was. But anyway, so okay, my favorite animal would be you in a very modified way. Because I do appreciate your passion. I appreciate all of that. I, like Nasia, would like to see you somehow harness your passion in a very make your mother less uncomfortable way.
Uh,
I don't want you
I
to
don't
lose
know.
it. Like, I don't want you to lose it either. And so a lot of it is me. Like, I'm just going to have to be like, you know what? This is who she is. And I don't want you to change who you are. But I also want people to understand your passion and where it's coming from. And
Yeah.
that's what I try to like over explain because I think that you go to bat. Like, I've seen you go to bat in the last couple of weeks for so many different people in so many different levels that I don't want you to lose that. But then I think that I have to work through being okay. Like, I can sense, and that's where it is, being family and working together is hard because if I wasn't related to you, I don't think I would care as
Yeah.
much because I feel like sometimes your passion is lost in the reaction that you give. And so I want you to continue with your passion and to come forward. And I do see like we have another IEP meeting for a client next week or something. And I know you'll come to the table and you will be there for them. And I don't want you to lose that. So I do appreciate your passion and working through and not making me want to throw up.
I don't know about that. Okay. So, okay, let's do our pit and peak. Peak and pit.
Okay, you go first.
Um, my, I don't even know what has happened this last week. My pit is probably finding out, which I knew something was wrong with my hip, that it is possibly that my OCD spread. So that kind of sucks because I'm now anticipating the stupid process we have to go through. But my peak would probably be um ooh, I think work okay, I'm gonna be very selfish in my pit and peak this week. My um peak would probably be that I was able to, like, okay, so yesterday was a rough day for my mental health. But today I was able to identify, like, my anxiety is really bad right now, and I know that I need to change something to correct that. So I was able to, like, work through it this morning and kind of identify where it was coming from. Now my anxiety is still there. However, I think it's a little more managed. So I guess also identifying it instead of being like, I am fine, like, we're just going to do this. I'm going to push through it. I'm going to, and then like the boys having to suffer that I go dark for a week. So I don't know. Probably taking my mental health head on.
You identified it. Well, okay. So my pit and peak. So my pit was that you're trying to kill me, I feel like, in various different ways. And my peak is that I'm still young enough to be able to roll with the punches and not literally have a stroke when my blood pressure is as high as it is. That would
We're not
probably.
even in the room yet.
I know. I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine. No, I think that my pit is again that traveling is fun, but it's not like we're gone for 5, what are we gone? Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, 5 days,
5 days, I think.
which is a
Yeah.
long time to be gone. And but then I'm also excited that I get an opportunity to go somewhere that I wouldn't normally go. And we have a really fun time planned. So that is my peak. My pit is that I know going into this conference that like you are going to be stressed, which is going to make me stressed, which is luckily my vices are shopping, so I can medicate myself with pills and alcohol. So it will be fine.
That is fine. That is great. I love that. Uh, um, okay, so I know we're wrapping up Pin and Peak, but I have to explain the family chat that we're having right now. So I sent a chat this morning blaming my dad for my knee pain because of it's hereditary. And my dad's like, I had to pass something on. Anyway, my brother responds, can I be predisposed or am I still good?
It's from the other.
For those of you who don't know, my brother and I, we don't share a dad. I mean, we share a dad in the sense of the word dad, but biologically, the sperm came from different people.
Thanks. Thank you. A creepy.
Oh my God. Okay, well, that wraps it up. If you want to listen more or see the weird things that the video did while we were being recorded, you can find us on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Instagram at And Then She Said Podcast. That's a wrap.